Hey guys, Jeffrey over here at Dale's Automotive. Today we have a 2020 Toyota Tacoma. We've seen this truck since it was new actually, and we've done a fair bit of work on this one already. If you take a look down inside here, you can see we've done an Elka suspension kit on here. This one is a 6-speed manual, and today we are doing a front and rear differential re-gear. This one currently has a 4.3 gear set. We are going to a 4.88. Let's get her going. All right, we have our differential carrier removed from the truck now. Let's take a look at this one here. So this one is a factory E-locker actually. You can see our wiring here as well as an additional solenoid. Down inside there, a little hard to see on the camera, but it's in there. It's all part of the locking mechanism here. We're gonna go ahead and get these gears swapped out. And we have our carrier all taken apart now. Well, let's take a look at the parts breakdown of everything I've taken off here. Starting from the back, we have our drive shaft flange. So this is going to attach to the drive shaft with the nut on here. Our seal, as well as a oil splasher. This is the rear pinion bearing, our crush sleeve, and our front pinion bearing here. This right here is for measuring or adjusting the pinion depth. So that one actually goes behind the bearing race here, inside here, and that's going to actually adjust the pinion depth in or out depending on the shim size. Again, we've got our pinion here. This bearing is pressed on. Over on the carrier side, here's our bearing caps as well as our bearing races and more adjustment shims here. That's going to adjust our backlash and preload on the carrier. Those ones go on either side here, and they adjust where the ring gear sits to adjust backlash, preload, all of that. Here is our full carrier assembly with our E-locker unit and our ring gear. So right now I have to swap over the ring gear, get our new pinion, get the new bearing on there, and we're going to start the reassembly now. And our rear differential is re-geared here. Let's take a look at our markings here. So you can see right in the middle of this tooth, it's doing a nice little oval there. On our coast side, again, nice little oval, nicely centered there in the tooth. We have good gear pattern there. Our backlash is set up within spec. This one is ready to go back in there and start working the front now. And now we've got the front carrier all taken out. So now I'm going to have to disassemble the clamshell, open this up. We have our pinion in here and our ring gears inside. So let's get this opened up and get them all swapped out. And you can see now we have our clamshell diff split apart. We've got the ring gear and carrier and our pinion all taken out here. So now I'm going to have to swap out that ring gear, replace the pinion, get all the bearings and shims set up. This one's going to be a little bit more work for measuring the backlash. I actually have an attachment for my dial indicator to go through this hole, which is going to contact the teeth of the ring gear, and that's going to give me my backlash measurements there. It's going to be a little bit of work. We're going to get this going. And this is a good time to show you guys what backlash is. Now on this one, we can actually see the pinion gear. That's those gears going around that way. And our ring gear, which is all around here on the back side of the carrier. Backlash is the interference or the clearance between each of the teeth. So you can see that very little play there between the two gears. That is the backlash. Now the spec on this vehicle, backlash is about 3 to 7 thousandths of an inch. So we're going to get this put together and measured up and see if everything is within spec. Part of the process of the rebuild is setting up the pinion preload. Now this pinion, as all pinions, they have a bearing here on the outside as well as a bearing there on the inside. The preload is the tension of the companion flange pushing in both those bearings so that they both seat together properly. The spec on this one is about 10 to 16 inch-pounds to rotate it. You look, we're sitting, hard to see on this gauge, but we're sitting just above 10 inch-pounds, between 10 and 15. So that is within spec. It will allow those bearings to break in properly and have a long service life. And here we have our front clamshell differential. We are checking for backlash after reassembly. Now these ones are a little tricky with clamshell design. You can see the little yellow paint marks of the ring gear teeth in there. And I have my dial indicator tool all set up there, contacting the tooth there. This is just the first setup, so we're going to see where we're sitting right now. So, roughly we're sitting about 2 thou on there. The spec on this one is actually 3 to 8 thou. So we're going to have to re-shim that and get them back into spec. Now I've got them all re-shimmed, and we're going to do a verification. So spec again is 3 to 8 thou. Sitting right about 4 thou, just a bit over 4 thou. So that is right within spec. I'm going to finish reassembly and get this back into the vehicle. Now we are all finished up. See it sitting nicely here with our shop 4Runner. Let's go take a quick look at this truck here though. This one looks real nice. Like I mentioned before, we have our Elka suspension in here. This truck's got real nice ride height on here, lots of clearance. And if we go take a look underneath here, you can see again more Elka suspension parts here, as well as our third member carrier, all painted up nicely. It looks real good in there. This truck drives so much better now, a lot more low end power. Just gotta brake in those diff gears, and it's ready to go hit the trails.